here, Mackie and Judd. I'm going to give people a warning here, all right?
Oh boy.
We've been trying to do this. Whenever we're about to enter into a Cousins discussion zone, I just want anyone who may be triggered by Kirk Cousins criticism or Kirk Cousins discussion, just know that this is your choice now. You are choosing to continue forward into a Cousins zone here. Okay?
We're about to
Are
debate
you guys
the
okay?
8. It's time to debate the 8.
All right, Robert of the North via the SKOR North app.
That's a Game of Thrones character.
Robert of the North.
Rabbit of the North.
I bring you a Kirk Cousins contract extension idea. Here's a perfect solution to upset both the Kirk lovers and Kirk haters alike. Extend his contract for 1 year. Give him a 2-year deal for 2022 and 2023 with $75 million guaranteed and a 1-year void added on in 2024 to spread out some of the cap hit. All right. So he'll get his $35 million for this year and $40 million for next year, guaranteed. He likes short prove-it contracts that are guaranteed. So the Vikings get Kirk for 2 years under Kevin O'Connell to see what he can do to earn himself, a swan song final contract with some other team maybe in 2024. This way, the Vikings can spread that cap hit over 3 years instead of 2 years, smooth it out a little bit, and get a rookie quarterback drafted by 2023. So they'll have the bridge in Cousins, and then they'll have the rookie quarterback on the roster in 2023 or maybe even in 2022. The cap hit in 2022 would be the $35 million they have to pay anyways, but so you save $10 million to this year's cap. And then the 2023 cap hit would be about $30 million or less than 15% of the overall projected cap. And then you'd have some dead money, void money in 2024, but a rookie scale quarterback contract. What are your thoughts? This is how I think you would have to do it if you extended him, by the way. This is the only thing that I would even listen on.
Yes,
So he's knocking on the door.
Yes, but here's the problem. I think that he would have to agree to do this, and we continue to talk about this. If you do a contract extension with Kirk and he agrees with your extension and is like, oh yeah, absolutely, let's try it and win immediately. I want to stay here. I'll do the contract. I think it gets done. But the problem is, I think Kirk is going to say, no, you didn't hear what I said last time, which is I want to max my value out starting again in 2023. So, like, yes, this is in a perfect world. I think this works. But keep in mind, Kirk Cousins is going into the last year of his contract. The key to doing a restructure where you don't have to be concerned about the player himself is to have years on that contract to play with. Those don't exist here. So Kirk Cousins is going to have to play your game. Kirk Cousins is going to have to agree to what you're doing.
Game.
Your reindeer games are going to have to be something that Kirk Cousins participates in, and I don't see him doing that. That's the problem. I think what Kirk does is going to be on Kirk's terms, and that's where it becomes, in my opinion, prohibitive.
I am the
do that.
game, JR.
Yeah, that's what Kirk says to Brzezinski and Tracy.
So much.
I am the game. So yes, in theory, I love that point. The issue is I don't think that Kirk will go along with anything that doesn't absolutely cripple you cap-wise in the coming years.
This is the type of thing. Here's what I don't love about it. I guess a few things. I'm still very skeptical that a 34-year-old quarterback can all of a sudden become quiet-minded, like Kevin O'Connell said, in big moments, and that he's going to go from being largely really bad against pressure to overcoming. I mean, it's a lot. If he was 26, all right, let's mold it. So I'm skeptical about the moldability of a 34-year-old stubborn guy, for one. But I'm open to it. If Kevin O'Connell thinks it's possible, all right. In KOC, we trust, I guess. I don't love also putting dead money into 2024, betting on a theory that Cousins can change in 2022 and 23.
Right.
So, but again, if you told me, hey, there's going to be a contract extension, so get over it, what's the best way to structure it? I would say this is Robert of the North. Has hit on this is probably how you would do it, right? You would, because you'd still be aiming for 2023. Yep. So his cap hit would still be way too high in 2022 for you to, and there's too many things to fix. But if you can bring it down percentage wise in 2023 because you kicked void money into 2024, then you've got some cap space to play with in free agency, and
But Kirk would say
draft
no.
players that grow into. Well, no, but from Kirk's standpoint, you'd be offering him. Well, maybe he would, but here's from a Viking standpoint, this makes more sense. From a Kirk standpoint, you would be saying, you get $75 million guaranteed. You already have $35 guaranteed this year, but you get $75 million guaranteed between this year and next year.
Yep.
And then you're a free agent again in 2024. Are you saying that his camp is going to say 75? We're already guaranteed 35. We need more like 85, 90 million guaranteed over the next 2 years.
Yeah, I'm saying that they would want, yes. I think that he has said, I guess, that he wants a market contract with where the cap is going to be in 2023, which means approximately 40 million guaranteed in 23 and then more after that. So yes, I'm saying that they would want, I think, more than that.
Okay.
Which is crazy. Nuts. Yeah. I agree.
There's a lot more Cousins stuff here. Jamie K via the SKOR North app says, so Phil, after hearing the breakdown of Kirk Cousins' PFF, the PFF QB annual, and hearing how Kevin O'Connell thinks he can change Kirk and quiet his mind under pressure, do you guys think at age 34, Kirk's conservative play and overinflated self-value as far as his pay scale goes is moldable? Is it moldable, coachable, or even capable of changing at this point? And then part two of this question is, do you think he even cares to change? Well, I think he wants to get better. Like, I think it's human nature to want to get better, and I think he's going to connect better with Kevin O'Connell times 100 than he'd ever did with Mike Zimmer over the last 4 years.
Yep.
But like I said a few minutes ago, it's great. Hey, everything's a theory, right? Well, if we could do this, but if this. It's always a theory with Cousins. He's 34, man. He's 34. I don't know how much you can change a 34-year-old. That's what I'm worried about.
Well, and my biggest problem with O'Connell and Kirk is this, and this probably goes back much more comparable to Kirk's time in Washington than here. Kevin O'Connell is going to be all about empowering his quarterback, and empowering means your decision. Like, I'll tell you what I think. In fact, I'll give you a play, but really what I'm going to do is give you 3 plays, and you're going to have to pick the best play, and you're going to have to sit back there. And you know what? A lot of times your first read might not develop. So now you got to go second. Now you got to go third read, Kirk. What are you going to do, hot shot? What are you going to do? Pop quiz, hot shot. What are you going to do? And that's my problem is I don't think that O'Connell can puppeteer Kirk well enough consistently, because I don't think O'Connell wants to puppeteer a quarterback. I think he wants a guy who does what he wants, but part of what O'Connell wants, and I appreciate this and respect it, is to give freedom, And so if Kirk screws up, that's going to be on Kirk. Kirk hates that. So my concerns go far deeper than, like, are these two going to meet? Yes. Are they going to get along? My guess is yes. But don't ever forget, Kirk had the first portion of his career, and what got him the contract here was in Washington, working with people that are considered offensive geniuses.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, you're literally betting on, there's 2 things, right? Can you get the contract in a place that doesn't just completely prevent the team from being built? That's the biggest hurdle. And then, can you get Kirk to perform better in let's call them must-pass situations where things get murky, the defense is getting more pressure on you because they're pinning their ears back, so to speak. At 34, can he get better in some of these areas? I mean, it's just a lot to bet on. Justin Vetter via Twitter says, I was watching Adam Thielen's interview that the Vikings posted on their YouTube, and he mentions, quote, now this is from Justin, okay? I have not verified that this is the exact quote, but just throw it out there, okay? He quoted Thielen as saying, we have a great running back, a great offensive line that continues to grow, and we have a lot of weapons in the receiving room. He never mentioned Kirk. Am I reading too much into this, or is it something to potentially look at?
I think you're reading too much into it. I've also been told from people that Kirk family and the Thielen family are pretty tight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in general, I think that was just Thielen talking. I don't look at it as that he was purposely not mentioning his quarterback, just like Rudolph did in the Players Tribune and whatnot. From what I've been told, I heard that those two families are very close. So
Yeah,
I don't think it's that at all.
It's more intriguing that when TMZ caught up with Dalvin at the Super Bowl, that Dalvin said, Justin and I are going to get a Super Bowl here. We are going to win a championship for it, the Vikings. That one to me is far more intriguing because why would a star offensive player talking about we're going to get a championship here not mention his quarterback?
I personally
That's more of
find
an odd one.
the Valentine's Day snub to be the biggest one, where they put eight
That's another
players,
interesting
7
one.
current players, and Fran Tarkenton got Valentine's Day memes.
Kirk
didn't.
Just because the Thielens and Cousins are close as people and might share beliefs that are along the same lines outside of football, though, doesn't mean that Thielen thinks that Kirk is a winning quarterback.
It's true.
I would
some gray area.
I would caution against. I think there's a difference between humans and competitors. And when they're off the field, I think they're like, oh, yeah, the Cousins, barbecue time, baby. That's going to be great. Let's go swimming. But can Kirk win a Super Bowl? No, he's got no shot. And I don't want to play with a guy that can't win. So I'm just saying I'm not dismissing anything here as being a potential red flag.
Okay. All right.
Reckless speculation.
Let's see here. Darren Muring via the SKOR North app says, before being introduced to Purple Daily by my son back in the early part of the last football season, thank you, Max, I could have been considered a Cousins apologist because the offensive line over the past few seasons has been brutal. Cousins throws a nice deep ball when he has time to throw. He's fun to watch. But as you pointed out time and time again, it's about his play versus his cap hit. I'm not a Kirk hater, but if he doesn't work with new team leadership regarding his salary, it'll be another sign of him putting himself above the team, giving me and others a solid reason to potentially turn on him. I get football. They just turn.
I love that. He's
Their
just
torches.
like, I used to like him. Now I hate his guts.
I get football careers can be short and players should look to get paid when they get the opportunity, but Kirk has made his millions. I'm thinking his family could probably live off a few million less per year. Amen. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, do you want to win a Super Bowl or do you want to win the negotiation?
And this is not turning on like people. We are trying to formulate the best rosters possible in this town. Don't forget, Phil made the right moves for the Wolves. Was it 5 years, 4 years back? Because you said, you really sure that you want to trade Zach LaVine? Wiggy ain't that great.
Yeah.
And sure enough, and I've been on the let's turn over the Wild idea for years now. And so we're trying to build the best rosters possible.
Yeah. Chad Stenzel via Twitter says, I'm in this weird category that I love SKOR North and appreciate all you guys do, but I totally disagree with you on Cousins. You know what, Chad? I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
We can disagree. We can have fun. We can all still love Minnesota sports all together. It doesn't have to be hostile.
Yeah.
All right. Dan Hopkins via the SKOR North app brings up an interesting question here. Presented by our friends at St. Thomas. St. Thomas Sports, Division I, across the board, hockey, basketball, football, earlier back in the fall. And if you're interested in watching the new Division I athletic department in action, TommySports.com. That's TommySports.com. All right, Dan Hopkins says, I believe the reason why Kirk won't take a pay cut is because he has no confidence that he can actually get it done, meaning like win a championship.
Okay.
Think about it. The money is guaranteed. He knows he'll get it, but he has no faith that he can actually win a championship, even if he took a pay cut to help build up the rest of the roster, the O-line, the defense, whatever. So to Dan's point, do you guys think Kirk suffers from a little, almost like a fear of success?
Well, that's very deep. That
is deep.
I could definitely see that. I don't think that he wakes up thinking I can't win a championship, but I think the more the pressure gets on Kirk, he definitely starts to wilt and fold at times. And so I don't agree completely with how he presented his case, but his case is a compelling one. And yes, I to go back to what we talked about a few days back, I think that Kirk's Super Bowl games are contested in the negotiating room, not on the field. I think that's where he wins.
What's funny is Declan and I are big wrestling guys. This is exactly what Chris Jericho accused Eddie Kingston of on AEW
saw that.
Wednesday night Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
They got a big pay-per-view match coming up at Revolution in like a week and a half.
Can't wait.
And Chris Jericho, so Eddie Kingston's this sort of grind. He's from Yonkers, New York. He's a New Yorker. He's been grinding
I love
sort of
Yonkers.
the minor leagues of wrestling. And Chris Jericho said, as a guy that's made it to the mountaintop and stayed there for 25 years, I can see it in your eyes. You're afraid of success. You self-sabotage because you're afraid of success. Is Kirk Cousins a self-sabotager? Big moments, prime time.
Yeah, at times he is for sure.
You know, it is kind of interesting.
Yes.
He's never really had any reference points for that level of success. Never came close to a state championship in high school. You know, they were competitive in college at Michigan State, but the biggest win really was like an Outback Bowl.
Yeah, they were.
A game in which he threw 3 picks, by the way, but they still won the game.
Yep.
And then in the NFL, the furthest he's ever gone is the second round of the playoffs against the Niners a couple years ago, and they got drubbed.
Yep.
So he doesn't even really know what it looks like. And again, state, high school football, whatever. But like, I think it kind of matters. You know, if you're that dude and you're taking your high school team to a championship, or you're taking your team to the college football playoff, Joey Burrow, right? Those reference points matter, and they help bolster your ability to perform in big games. And Cousins has almost none of that as a 34-year-old in his football life.
Absolutely.
No. Let's see here. More Cousins stuff. Mike Packa via the SKOR North app says, here's a random thought about Justin Jefferson's mindset regarding quarterbacks. He knows the qualities a great one has since he played with Joe Burrow. He helped make Joe Burrow great. JJ will not accept anything less in a future quarterback and will be gone if the quarterback position doesn't improve.
Exactly.
JJ will not be able to make Kirk great. So my question off this is, people tend to frame this like, be careful what you wish for. You know, Cousins helped JJ get to 2,800 yards over 2 years. If you move off Cousins, you're going to piss off Jefferson.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, which is complete garbage, BS, and wrong. You will, if you keep Kirk, Jefferson will grow more frustrated, because Jefferson, God bless him, is not after stats. Jefferson is after success. Stats are great. I'm sure he was frustrated at times by the lack of commitment to throw him the ball during 2021, because, oh my God, they rolled safety help. And once you roll safety help, a player is eliminated from the game altogether. But that being said, he wants championships. He didn't watch Burrow and Jamar Chase and think to himself, look at all the stats. Oh, it's a Super Bowl they're playing. You know, I didn't realize that. Yeah. He thought, I want that. And it's still the thing about Kirk's inability to adapt and change and to pivot off of what he is supposed to do was never more evident than the touchdown pass to KJ Osborne that cost Jefferson the chance at the Moss record. Justin Jefferson standing wide open there and would have gotten the record, and all Kirk had to do was pivot off the read and say, okay, oh God, yeah, bang. And what did he do? He did the assigned play, which is very Kirk. But if you're telling me that Justin Jefferson right now is like, if you guys get rid of Kirk and you don't get, I'm gone. Far more likely his frustration grows and mounts with Kirk as his quarterback than if they take a shot at trying to get him a quarterback that can get him to a Super Bowl.
You know, I can say this. It was recorded for a podcast yesterday, so because I think this was like 20 or 30 minutes into a 60-minute conversation I had with a Cousins Crusader yesterday. Kevin Sheehan is one of the longtime sports talk show hosts out in Washington, D.C., and you know, he's got relationships with all sorts of players that were part of Kirk's team, you know, Shanahan teams and stuff. And he described Kirk as he's not like a guy that you hang out with. And he's a Cousins Crusader, by the way. And he's saying, be careful what you wish for. It's kind of funny. We both agreed that he's probably like the 10th to 14th best quarterback. It was a very respectful 1-hour debate on his podcast. I retweeted it. If you guys want to take a listen, it was great. And he said, you know, on some of the leadership stuff, he goes, I agree with you. He's not a guy that you hang out with. He doesn't golf. He's not going to like go grab a beer and do things that you would do with your buddies. He's kind of weird. And people sort of overlook that, I think, too much, that there's a certain element of leadership that is just, it's like a bit like, can you hang out? Can you just like be a normal guy and build relationships? And he's not that guy. He's kind of a weirdo. So anyways, I think there's something to that. Like, does JJ hate Kirk Cousins? No, of course not. Is he going to rip him in a press conference? No, not overtly. Is he going to die on a hill talking about his quarterback like he did for Joe Burrow?
Right.
No, he's not going to.
Exactly.
Brian Simonson via the SKOR North app. This is, this is outside the parameters of a legal write that down prediction. But Brian says, hey there, Mackie, Judd, Declan. I've been wanting to send a write that down prediction for a while, but I've been so busy with work, etc. So I'll get right to it. He's a Minnesota sports fan living in Florida. I hope this one is juicy for you guys, and I hope I followed the rules here. Again, this is outside the parameters of a qualified write that down prediction, but we will throw it out here for you. It's a Wolves-related prediction with 7 parts.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Number 1, the Wolves will finish the regular season as the 7th seed exactly.
Okay.
You don't have to write these down, Declan.
Yep, I'm
Don't
not.
worry about it. Okay. Number 2, the Wolves will lose the first game and play in the play-in and then play in the second play-in game. They will win the second play-in game. They will lose in the first round to the first seed. Off the record, he thinks it's Phoenix. And they will lose in 5 games. The one game the Wolves win in that series will be a margin of 10 or fewer. And the Wolves will win that game in Game 3. So it'll be a Game 3 victory in the first round of the playoffs. And in that game, Cat will go cyborg and drop a 40-burger and lead all scorers in that game. I love this.
Wow.
On a personal note, I'm a Minnesota native but currently living in Florida, born in 1989, so I have seen my fair share of Minnesota sports failures, but I'm a diehard Minnesota sports fan, been a loyal listener to you guys going back to around 2016, back in the old 1500 radio days. So thanks, man. I love that. Brian, bringing some...
7-part Wolves prediction.
The Wolves are 2.5 games out of the 6th seed right now, and if they can somehow catch Denver, it's pretty likely they would play Memphis, and they split the season series with Memphis. They beat them last night, and they beat them by like 40 earlier in the year.
Getting excited. Phil's
So,
getting excited.
Let's get it, guys.
Phil's getting excited about
go
the
to
Wolves.
overtime, one of those games, too. I can't remember.
Look at you.
So, all right. It's your Feedback Friday here on Mackie and Judd. You can always hit us up via the SKOR North app. You can also follow our SKOR North TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts for all sorts of content. Any other final thoughts from you guys as we head into NFL Combine Week next week?
I'm excited for
Otherwise known as
feel
executives and agents getting drunk together and rumors coming out.
I feel like
it.
the reckless speculation is it's probably like at a 4 right now. Like, it's good. It's not great yet. I feel like by the middle of next week or so, it's going to be nearing a 8. Like, it's going to get good.
Reckless speculation.
Yes.
We're going to get some good stuff out there.
Yep. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us. Mackie and Judd, daily Minnesota sports, entertainment, speculation, therapy. We'll see you guys.